Now guys, whenever we are planning to go for installation, whether you are installing a software or you're installing the entire operating system, doesn't matter. The installation of Red Hat is same. Right now, as I was telling you, whether you are installing a software or the entire operating system, you need to check hardware requirements or hardware compatibility. Whenever, even you are installing a small software also, you need to check whether this OS is compatible with hardware or not. So we need to follow certain guidelines, which is called as recommendations. So what is the requirement to install Red Hat operating system? Let us try to understand. There are two types of requirement: minimum requirement, and the other one is a recommended requirement, right? Minimum requirement is at least what you should have, at least what you should have, without which going for installation may not be a good idea, right? So minimum requirement is that without which proceeding may not give you best result. And recommended you need to follow if you want to go optimum performance, you want to have optimum results, then you should go with recommended requirements. Okay, so what are the requirements that we need to follow? Let us check it out. We need to have Intel or AMD dual core processor minimum. Now, what is that dual core processor? See guys, dual core processor is like one physical processor with two cores. So simultaneously, it may behave as if two processor. Physically, it is one, but the performance will be like two processors. That means it would be quite faster. But recommended is to have Intel or AMD quad core processor. Quad core processor means physically it is one, but logically it performs like four processors. So over here the performance will be even more faster. And when it comes to RAM, minimum 4 GB RAM is required to install Red Hat. See, you can go less than 4 GB also, at least 2 GB. I kept it 4 GB, but at least you should have 4 GB. And recommended is to have 16 GB RAM to install Red Hat operating system. And when it comes to hard disk, at least 25 GB hard disk space should be there, and recommended is to have 50 GB hard disk space. Now if you have this much of thing in your system, then you can easily go for installing a Red Hat operating system, right? So this is the requirements for installing a Red Hat operating system. Now after we found what is the hardware requirement, the next thing is to know how many partitions do we need to create during installation. See, during installation, we need to do some partitioning. I hope you might have installed Windows many times. To install Windows operating system, we need barely one partition, that's it. But to install Linux, especially Red Hat Linux, we need three separate partitions to be created. One is root, and the other one is boot, and the last one is swap. Root, boot, and swap. These three partitions are mandatory to be created. So root partition will be created with maximum capacity. As you know guys, yesterday I have discussed this, that root is the most important partition. Now as a result of which we should give maximum available space to root only. So whatever space you have in your hard disk, 50% or minimum 25 to 30 GB we will dedicate for root, just like that, right? Or at least 50%. For example, you have 25 GB disk, so we'll give 15 GB to root partition. At least 50% of the available space we will dedicate for root partition, as it is the most important partition. Then the next partition is boot. As you know, boot partition contains important bootable files, which is needed at the time of booting. So the size which is recommended for boot partition is 1 GB. 500 MB to 1 GB is enough. Then the last partition what we will create is swap. See, swap partition is a support to RAM. Now, how it supports RAM, we will understand it in detail when we go for swap chapter. There is a chapter entirely dedicated for swap. So there I'll explain you that how swap will help RAM. As of now, you understand that during installation, we need to create one partition with the name of swap, which is a support to RAM. Now, what should be the size for swap? The size for swap should be twice of the size of RAM. Suppose your RAM is 1 GB, swap should be 2 GB. Your RAM is 2 GB, swap should be 4 GB. Like that, you have to give double of the size of RAM. Whatever RAM size is, double of that size, we have to give it to swap. So these three partitions we have to create, right, during installation. Now, one more thing is there, guys, that depending on hardware architecture or CPU architecture, the softwares will also be installed according to that architecture. I hope you are aware that CPU comes in two architecture, 32-bit and 64-bit. 32-bit is little slow in processing, whereas 64-bit is faster in processing. So if you have 32-bit processor, you need to download all the softwares and install 32-bit software. If your CPU is 64-bit, then you need to install the operating system also in 64-bit. But guys, 32-bit has become outdated. It is slowly getting deprecated from the market. Right now, when you go and purchase a laptop or desktop in today's time, it is going to be in 64-bit architecture only, right? Because many people use virtualization, and virtualization is supported only and only on 64-bit. That is the reason 32-bit is becoming outdated. So as 32-bit is becoming outdated, Red Hat has stopped producing 32-bit software. So now we are having Red Hat 7 and Red Hat 8 only and only in 64-bit version. There is no 32-bit version. Till Red Hat 6, we used to have 32-bit version and 64-bit version. 32-bit for 32-bit hardware architecture and 64-bit for 64-bit architecture. But remember, from Red Hat 7, we are not having 32-bit. Only 64-bit version is available. Now, the next question is, how can I get Red Hat operating system image or that software what we are going to install? To get Red Hat operating system, you need to go to Red Hat website. Now, when you go to Red Hat website, it will ask you to log in, or if you have not yet created any account, now you have to create an account. But guys, Red Hat account is limited to corporate account. That means you are not allowed to create account with your personal email ID like Gmail, Hotmail. That things are not going to work out. You need to create an account with your corporate email ID, with your organizational email ID. Private Gmail, Hotmail, and other accounts, it will not going to entertain. So you must create an account with your corporate ID. Now, guys, it would be tough for everyone. Most of you might be freshers who have never worked for any organization or does not have any corporate account. So to make it simple, guys, I have downloaded already Red Hat 8.3, the latest version. right? And I'm going to share it with you with my Google Drive, right? So the size of this Red Hat software is around 8.9 GB, somewhere around 9 GB, the big software it is. So you need to download it and we have to use it. Now, guys, the installation method, the installation process, everything remains same. Whether you are doing the installation on a physical machine or you are doing it on a virtual machine. So for our labs, we are going to use virtualization. Now, let me just give you a small introduction very quickly that what is this virtualization we are going to work with. See, guys, previously in olden days, when we used to work with standalone machines, a computer, tower model, something like that. So in that scenario, one physical machine used to hold single operating system. Now, let us say that your business is growing. You need more operating system. If you need 10 operating system, then you need to purchase 10 physical machines. Then only you can get 10 OS. Suppose your business is even further expanding, then you need to purchase 50 or 100 physical machine to put 50 operating system. Now just imagine, guys, how much place is required to keep 50 or 100 machines running all the time, and how much electricity they are going to consume, how much network cables are required to connect them, right? And how many air conditions you need to put to keep them cool. So don't you think that the cost used to be very, very high? Right? To overcome this issue, virtualization has been introduced. Again, guys, the first virtualization was done by IBM for AIX machines. We used to call it as LPARs, logical partitions, but now we are calling it virtual machines. Anyway, IBM has brought many cutting edge technology. Anyway, so virtualization was introduced. Now, with virtualization, what we will do is on a single physical machine, we will do virtualization. And with the help of virtualization on the same machine, we will create something called virtual machine. Virtual machines are nothing but a set of virtualized hardware. It behaves as if it is an independent physical machine, but it is just like a small machine running in the one physical environment. Now, on this virtual machine, you can put any operating system. See, you can put Linux, you can put Windows, you can put Red Hat Linux, you can put CentOS Linux, or whatever operating system you want. But here the achievement is if I need 50 OS, I don't have to purchase 50 physical machine. In a single physical machine, with the help of virtualization, I can create 50 virtual machines, 50 operating system can run parallelly without any problem. So that is the benefit of going with virtualization. Now again, guys, there are different type of virtualization that is used in the environments. On production environment, we use full virtualization. For testing environments, we use para-virtualization, what we are going to work with. Now, let me explain you that what virtualization we are going to do for our lab environment. See, guys, I'm assuming that all of you are having a laptop or a desktop. Like in my case, I'm having a laptop, right? On the top of my laptop, I already have an operating system installed. For example, I'm having Windows 10 installed. It can be Mac, it can be Windows, anything. But let us say that I'm having Windows 10 installed. So on the top of Windows 10, I'm going to install a virtualization software. Now there are many virtualization software that are available, like we have VMware Workstation, or we are having Oracle VirtualBox, or any other virtualization you might be using, KVM, OVM, whatever it might be. So let us say that we install some virtualization software. Now, on the top of that virtualization software, we are going to create virtual machines. So each virtual machine, we will use some set of CPU, some set of memory, some set of hard disk, some set of network card. So each virtual machine will behave as if it is an independent physical machine, but actually it is a virtual machine inside one physical environment. And inside it, we are going to keep what? Different operating system or same operating system, multiple requirements, however you go. So already we have Windows 10 installed. On the top of it, I need to install virtualization software. And with the help of that virtualization software, we will install VM and we are going to do our practical labs every day. So how we need to get that virtualization software, let us find it out. Now, as I told you guys, there are many virtualization software available. You can go with any choice of virtualization. But if you are following me, then I would recommend you to download and install Oracle VirtualBox. See, Oracle VirtualBox is a free licensed software. It does not have any paid or commercial license. It is free to use, open source. So you don't need to get any key. You don't have to register it, nothing. It is free of cost, open source. But if you want, you can go with VMware Workstation also. But VMware Workstation is a licensed product. You need to purchase it. You need to get a license key. If you don't get a license key, you'll not get full features. There are ways you can use pirated keys and all that thing, but I don't recommend piracy or other thing. So you can simply go with Oracle VirtualBox. It is free of cost. There is no licensing. So just go to this VirtualBox website. Now choose on which OS you are planning to install this virtualization software. If you are installing it on Windows environment, then choose the software for Windows hosts, right? If you are trying to install it on Mac OS, then you have to choose OS X, right? So this is Mac OS compatible software and this is Windows compatible software. The moment you click on it, the download will begin, right? So I have some downloading software. With the help of that, I will be downloading the software. Now, once you have downloaded it, it appears to be like this, right? So when you double click on that, the installation will the installer will start. So guys, I hope that you all know how to install a software on Windows environment. Mostly it is nothing but doing next, next, next. So over here also you just need to go with next. Click on next, click on next, click on next, and your installation will be completed. Just you need to do next, 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 and your installation will be completed. In my case, I'm not installing it again because already I have this virtualization installed. Now guys, to make sure that your virtualization works, I'm not telling works properly, I'm telling to make sure that your virtualization works, you must have 64-bit environment. So guys, how to find whether I'm working with 64-bit operating system or 32-bit operating system? See, you go to My Computer, go to Properties, and in this properties, you can find that which version of operating system is installed. Like in my case, you can see I have 64-bit operating system with 64 based processor. So 64-bit operating system is mandatory to work with virtualization. Virtualization never works in 32-bit environment and we will face lots of issues. To make sure that your virtualization works, you must be using 64-bit environment, which is in nowadays highly possible because we are all having 64-bit operating systems also. 32-bit is outdated, so mostly we will have 64-bit version. One more thing, what many people face difficulties while creating virtualization is in your motherboard settings, virtualization option is not available. So just go to Task Manager. In Task Manager, go to Performance. And over here, guys, you should check that virtualization is enabled or not. Now, guys, enabling virtualization in your motherboard is important. If your motherboard is not enabled with virtualization option, then creating virtual machine using 64-bit environments will not work. Now, in my case, yes, Praveen, you have any question, Praveen? Guys, are you able to? Okay, is it going a little slow?
No, it's no fine for me.
What, Taj? I did not got your voice. Can you repeat yourself?
It is clear for me.
Okay, okay, great. So Praveen, maybe it's a problem for your network. Please check that your internet is working fine. I hope others are getting video and audio properly. Is there any delay or my voice breaking, guys? Are everyone able to listen to me properly?
Yes, I'm able to listen properly.
Thank you, Valvin, for confirming. Okay, so let me continue. As I was telling you guys that keeping this virtualization enabled is really important. Now the next question is, what if virtualization is not enabled? What shall I do to enable it? Now guys, the problem is I need to restart my machine. I need to go into BIOS settings, and in that I need to search for virtualization and enable it. Now guys, different models of laptop, different models of desktop has different methods to go into BIOS settings. So just check out that your laptop model is what, right? So for example, uh, normally if we say system information in Windows, here you can find out. It tells you exactly that what is your model name, what you are using, right? So for example, this is Surface Book, or maybe yours is Lenovo, or maybe yours is HP, whatever it might be. Just find out the model, that what model you are using, right? And the next thing what you can do is, with that model name, search in Google, right? For example, how to enable virtualization in BIOS with Lenovo, whatever model. For example, my laptop model is Lenovo G50. The beautiful thing is, guys, you will get all the steps, or in video section, you may also get the video process, how you can follow. You just need to follow that link. It will take you to YouTube or something on which you can find all the steps how to enable virtualization on that. So just follow that link and match it and try to enable it. So two things you have to do, guys, whenever you are planning to work with virtualization. You need to make sure that first of all, you are using, uh, one second. Oh, I'm so sorry. Just a moment, guys. Let me open my manual. By mistake, I turn off the manual also. 1 minute, just 1 minute. Okay, guys. So Whenever we are planning to do virtualization, guys, remember these 2 points what I showed you. You must have a 64-bit operating system installed, which is not a problem. Nowadays, all modern laptops, desktops, since past 3-4 years, all modern laptops are 64-bit. One thing what you might really face is virtualization might not be enabled, right? So if in task manager under performance you see that virtualization is disabled, then you need to just check according to your model how to enable virtualization in BIOS setting. Mostly you have to reboot your machine by pressing F2, F10, F11 according to your model. You should go into BIOS settings, go to advanced settings, and you will find virtualization option disabled. So just change that option to enable and restart your machine. Check it in task manager, it would say that virtualization is enabled. Now, if all these settings are done, then you can open your virtualization software. After installing Oracle VirtualBox, this is the way it looks like. Now, you may not find these tabs. I have created it like 6 a.m. new, 7:30 a.m. new. This is my names given. You may see a blank panel. Nothing would be there. Now, let us say that you want to create a new virtual machine. To create a new virtual machine, you can see there is a new option over here. Just click on that new option and it would start giving you a visit. You just need to give some answers and your virtual machine will be ready. Now, whatever you want, you can call it. For example, I would like to call it RHEL. For example, let me call it RHEL 70, something like that I want to call. Now, this name is your choice. You can use whatever name you want. But you see over here, the type will be selected as Linux and the version you should select is Red Hat 64-bit. Now Linux type and version is Red Hat 64-bit. Guys, if virtualization is not enabled, 64-bit option will not be appearing. So if you want to work with 64-bit, make sure that virtualization is already enabled, right? So type should be Linux and version selected should be Red Hat 64-bit mandatorily. Now click on next tab. When you click on next tab, the next question it would be asking is about RAM. How much memory would you like to have? See guys, as I've told you, minimum 4 GB you should give, or at least 2 GB is bare minimum, without which if you proceed, performances will not be good. So in my case, what I'm doing is I'm increasing it to 2 GB. 2048 MB is nothing but 2 GB. Total RAM in my laptop is 8 GB, so I'm dedicating 2 GB. Guys, for test environment, 2 GB is enough. We are not going to put any heavy applications to worry about. 2 GB RAM would be sufficient. Now I'll go with next. So first we have given the name and next we have selected the RAM. Now it's time it is asking you how much hard disk would you like to assign. Now guys, it says do not add a virtual disk or create a virtual disk now. Please select create virtual hard disk now. We want hard disk. If we don't give hard disk, where it will install the OS, isn't it? To install the OS, we need that virtual hard disk to be created now. Let me click on create. Now it would ask you what format of hard disk you want. Just keep it VDI. If you observe, I'm simply doing next, next, next. So I'll just say next. Now what type, just select dynamically allocated. Don't have to worry about what it is, guys. Just simply click on next. Don't change anything. Now it would ask you how much size would you like to give. See, I would like to give 25 GB hard disk. So I just typed over here 25 GB and you can click on create. Now one more time, I'm repeating all stuff, guys. Click on new, give it some name. I'm calling it RHEL70. You can call it whatever you want. Just make sure that the type is Linux and version selected is Red Hat 64-bit. Then go for next and make your RAM to 2048 MB, that is 2 GB. Then I'll click on next, create a virtual hard disk now, create it. What type? Keep it VDI, don't change it to anything, let it follow the default things. Then dynamically allocated, don't change this also. Let's click on next. Then the next thing it is asking you about the hard disk, simply remove that 8 GB and type 25.00 GB, that is 25 GB. Now lastly, you have to click on create. See, when you click on create, you'll see that your virtual machine got created with the name RHEL70. Now this is just an empty virtual machine which does not have any operating system inside it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click on that virtual machine and I will go into settings. Guys, if it is a physical machine, when the machine is powering on your laptop or your desktop, you can press F2, F10, F12 and you can go into BIOS settings. Virtual machine does not have BIOS. Virtual machine has simple VM settings, right? So let me go to settings. Now we need to make some changes in the settings before we can start installing Red Hat. The first change, what we have to do is go to system option. In system option, you can see there is an option called processor. So let me click on that processor. See guys, I told you that minimum we need a processor dual core, two cores should be there. So here it is only single core selected. Let me increase it to two core. If you select it to two core, the performance will be optimum fast. So I've just made my first change. What did I do? I came to settings, I came to processor, and I made this settings to two processor. Good. Let's come back to motherboard. See guys, if you go into BIOS settings, there will be boot order. How would you like to boot your operating system? See, we might have different disks connected. So you can choose first boot device, second boot device, third boot device, like that. So here you see it is having the order that first boot device is floppy. If floppy is not available, then it will boot with CD. That optical is nothing but your CD drive or DVD drive. And third, it is talking about hard disk. Now guys, I don't want to use this floppy. Seriously, who's using floppy anymore now, right? So let me unselect floppy and let me put it down the order. I don't need floppy. So I want my first boot device to be DVD drive. If DVD drive is unavailable, then it should boot with hard disk, right? So I want to boot with DVD. Second thing is you need to change pointing device. See here it is selected PS2 mouse. Now if PS2 mouse is selected, maybe when we are going with graphical environment, mouse pointer may not work properly. It has been observed that mouse pointers is giving problems sometimes in virtualization. So if you don't want that issue to be there, I recommend that change the format from PS2 type to USB multi-touch. If you make it USB multi-touch, definitely your mouse pointer is going to work perfectly, right? So three changes we have done. First, we have increased the processor. Second, we made optical media or DVD drive as your first boot device. Then you have selected in pointing device USB multi-touch. Then the next thing you have to do is you have to go to storage option. See, in storage option, it may show you that the virtual hard disk what you have given is of what type. It is selected 25 GB kind of thing. But if you see that DVD option, it is showing empty. There is nothing it is showing on DVD. So please click on DVD. Guys, if it is a physical machine, there is a physical DVD drive. When you click on the button of the DVD drive, the tray will come out. You'll put the physical DVD ROM inside it. Again, you will click the button and your DVD tray will go inside it. But guys, here we are working with virtualization. In virtualization, we have to feed virtual DVD. Everything is virtual. So DVD will also be virtual. See guys, the software what you install from Red Hat website will be downloaded in the format of ISO. ISO is nothing but a software object, right? That is a virtual form of your DVD ROM. So all virtual machines, we have to connect that Red Hat ISO image that will be working as your DVD. Now that image you can burn in DVD and you can use it physically, or that image you can use it in your USB drive, make it bootable and connect physically. Or if you're working with virtual machine, we need to simply connect that ISO image as it is. Now, how can I connect that ISO image? It's showing empty. It says there is no image selected. So just click on that DVD icon on the right side, and there is an option, choose a disk file. So just click on that and go to that location where you have downloaded that image. Now, somewhere in your operating system, you might have downloaded it, maybe in documents, or maybe you have downloaded it in D drive, E drive. So wherever you have downloaded that image, go to that location and select that image. For example, I have downloaded somewhere here. So you can see here is your image. RHEL 8.3. So guys, in Red Hat 8 version, the latest version, stable version, what we are having is 8.3. Now, whether you are installing Red Hat 7, any version, Red Hat 8, any version, installation method is similar. So there is no difference or no big difference while installing Red Hat 7 or Red Hat 8, any version. So if you have given older version, Red Hat 7, you can install the same way, or you are installing Red Hat 8, the latest 8.3, same version. There are no huge differences. So let us click on that and let us say open. So now you can see that almost 8.82 GB image is connected to your system, to your virtual machine now, right? So all my work is almost over. Let me click on OK. So guys, we just went into settings of virtual machine by right clicking and we made some changes. Now I want to power on this machine. So you can just right click on that. There is an option start and there is an option normal start. Click on that. Or guys, if you simply want to go with a shortcut, then just double click on that virtual machine. If you double click on that virtual machine, automatically the machine will be open, or you can right click and say start. So I double clicked on the machine, it is powering on. Let us see how much time will it take to power on. So it is powered on, but it is asking me that do you want to continue with this Red Hat disk what is mentioned, or would you like to change the disk? Guys, I don't want to change it. I want to continue with the same disk. So let us say start. Now let me adjust the screen size so that you can view properly. I'll make it scaled mode and double click on the top. So you see, when you boot with Red Hat DVD, this is the screen you will be getting. Now, same screen you will get whether you are installing it on a virtual machine, you are installing it on a physical server, or a virtual machine, wherever you are installing, the first screen you see is this only, right? But you see there is a countdown going on behind the scene. I want to stop that countdown. So click anywhere on the screen to control virtual machine. If you want to go inside VM and control it, click anywhere inside the virtual machine and you will get control. Now, if I use up arrow, down arrow, you see I can move the cursor. That means now I am into virtual machine. Now, guys, if you want to release the cursor and come out of virtual machine, then you have to click on right control key on your keyboard. You can see on your keyboard, there is a control key on the right side, not left side. I'm asking about right side control key. So when you click on right side control key, your mouse will get released so that you can use it outside of virtual machine. If you click anywhere inside virtual machine, the mouse cursor will go inside virtual machine. You can control virtual machine. Click on right control key, your mouse cursor will be released and you can use it anywhere outside of virtual machine. So I want to go inside virtual machine. I have moved my cursor to the first option, install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.3. So just go with option number 1 and hit enter. But you see there is one more option, test this media and then install Red Hat Linux system. So if you doubt that this image is proper or not, or maybe you are using a physical DVD, guys, sometimes the DVD might get scratches and the scratchy area may not be readable perfectly, right? So if you have a doubt, you want to perform test and then you want to do installation, then you can do test. Otherwise, you can simply go with option number 1 and hit enter. So let me go to option number 1 and hit enter. Now this will start the installer. Let's wait. This is a time-taking process, so it might take 1 or 2 minutes to take us to the installer. Meanwhile, let me tell you that what is the installer name. Anyway, nobody is going to ask you this question, but just for information, I'll tell you the installer used in Red Hat or most of the Linux is Anaconda. Now don't be surprised guys, these names are very common in Linux environment. Most of the names of software is kept on animals or birds or some other extinct species kind of thing. So Anaconda, is the name of a breed or a type of snake, you can say. Same way you have a famous programming language, Python. Python is also a name of snake. Or you see Tiger VNC or Squirrel Mail, right? Wireshark software. So these are all the types of names that are used in Linux environment. It is nothing but the names of certain softwares. Okay, so let's wait for the installer to start. And as soon as the installer starts, we will go with all the steps we need to follow. Probably the first question it is going to ask us to select the language to continue. Now guys, a huge list of languages are supported to install Linux. You can go with most of the popular languages of the world. You can go with English, as you can see on the screen, English, African, or Arabic, Spanish, or Telugu, Tamil, Urdu. Many languages are supported. Whichever you want, you can go for it. So you can select English as a global language. Now you can select English with respect to your country. Like you can say English United States or English UK or English India. Normally, guys, we think that this is type of English. No. Guys, English US, English UK is understood. But why English India, English Canada, English Denmark, English Ireland? See, guys, what if I select English India? If you select English India, it would set the currency in Indian currency. For example, Indian currency is rupee. If you set English US, it would set the currency to dollar. UK, it will set the currency to pound or euro. Why it is beneficial? Because when you go to Red Hat website, it will take you to website of your country and they'll charge you according to your country if you purchase a subscription. So it is only to make your subscription purchase useful. So anyway, I'm in India, I'm selecting English India. According to your region, you can select wherever you are. Let me click on continue to go to next step. Now, when you click on continue, it will take another 30 seconds to set your language to English and your country and currency symbol to your country's currency symbol, and then it will take you to a dashboard. Now, this dashboard is simple and self-explanatory. I don't have to tell you much, but let me show you what are the things that we need to continue with. So you see in a moment, dashboard will appear. Now in this dashboard, whichever option you want, you can go with. There is no serial order that first you should do this or second you should do that. There is no such order. Whatever you like, you can start with. So you see, keyboard is selected English India, language is English India, currency is according to India, but date and time is set according to New York time zone. Now, if you are at New York time zone, that is fine. But if you are not in New York time zone, you should definitely try to change your time according to your region. So let me click on that New York time zone, and you can select the region wherever you are. See, here are few continents what it has given. According to that places you can select. So if you are in United States, select that area. If you are in Asia, you can select that. If you are in Australia, you can select that. If you are in Europe, you can select that. Like I am in India, so I would be selecting Asia. Now, Asia, which region you are? Every country has been given one landmark. For India, there might be one city that is a landmark. For Sri Lanka, there might be one city. For Pakistan, there would be one city. For Bangladesh, there would be one city. Like in United States, there would be another city like that. So you can select the city according to your country. Or the most simplest thing what I suggest is search your country in this map. Like here is India, I'll simply click on that. So automatically my city will be selected as English, sorry, Asia, Kolkata, right? Or if you are in other city, you can just select it from here. It will change it, change that, change here. So wherever you are, according to that, you can select it. I'm selecting India. That is my time zone. I want it to be. So once your selection is done, click on that done button to complete that section. So date and time is set. Now the next thing it is asking is, would you like to connect to a Red Hat network? See guys, you have to connect to a Red Hat network to purchase subscription. When you click on that, it would ask you to give your username and password with which you can connect to Red Hat website. Or at least it would ask you to type the key, OS key, which you can type to register. So guys, I don't have any registration key. I have not purchased any subscription. This is free of cost OS what I'm using without subscription. So don't worry of connecting to Red Hat. Even don't change installation source. I want to do installation through Red Hat DVD. That is fine for me. I'm not going to change that. Next thing, what I have to select is software selection. Now, this is pretty important. If I click on that or hit enter, you see it is going to give me lots of options. Like if you want to install a graphical operating system, suppose you want command line and you want graphics. Maybe sometimes I may use browser, I may use some media players. So you can select server with GUI. Server will give you complete command line access to Linux, and GUI will install some beautiful graphical tools that is helpful to manage Linux with GUI. Now let us say that you are a command line lover and you only want to work with command line. You don't need any graphics, which you are going to be. After this course, guys, I'm sure that you are going to love command line more than graphics. So if you want to install only command line environment, then you can select server. When you select server, it is only going to give you complete command line operating system. No graphical software will be installed. Now there is one more option, minimal install. I don't and never recommend to go with minimal install. If you go with minimal install, very basic level OS will be installed. Many of the important components will be missing. Every time you need some component, you have to install it. It is recommended to go with minimal install if you have only hard disk space with 1 or 2 GB. Within 1 or 2 GB, if you want your OS to install, then select minimal install. Or guys, if you are installing it on your laptop, desktop, you want user-friendly operating system, then you can go with workstation. Or if you want to customize your operating system with the help of some developers, so you can go with custom OS. Or if you want to enable virtualization, see, Red Hat comes with a built-in virtualization software called KVM. If you want to use that, you have to select that. Sorry guys, 1 minute. Excuse me for that gap. So if you want that, you have to use it. But guys, I'm going with server with GUI because sometimes I want to show you some graphical tools also if you want to use. So I'll go with selecting server with GUI. When you select server with GUI, around 1400 packages. How many guys? 1400 packages will be installed. Now packages are nothing but software that is going to get installed. Now, still, if you want more than 1400, then here is the list of additional packages you can select. So you can select this package, this package, this package, all of them will get installed. But I recommend not to select any extra package. Whatever extra package we need, we will install later after installation. So as my selection is done, I will click again on done. Okay, now the next thing what we have to select is partitions. So over here it is giving you an option with the name called installation destination. So that is the place where you are going to install your operating system. So just click on installation destination and it will show how many hard disks are connected to your system right now. We have only one hard disk with 25 GB capacity. If you have more than one hard disk, then you can select on which hard disk you want to do this installation. See, it is already selected here. If you have multiple hard disks, you can unselect it and you can select any other in the list. But I have no choice. I have only one hard disk, so I'm clicking on that, I'm selecting it. Now, one more option it is asking you at the bottom, how do you want to do partitions? Would you like to do automatic partitions or would you like to do custom partitions? Guys, if you select automatic partition, entire 25 GB will be automatically done with partitions. Automatically, partitions will be created. The whole 25 GB will be automatically used. Not even 1 MB will be left for you. Total 25 GB will be divided into partitions automatically. Now, let us say that you have decided to do partitions on your own. You want to create partition, you want to give sizes with your choice, everything on your own. Then you must select automatic partition. Sorry, custom partition. I'm really sorry. Not automatic, guys. I'm sorry. You must select custom based partition. When you say custom, it gives you choice to do partitions with your choices. It will not do anything automatically. So I have selected custom based partitions and let me click on done. When you click on done, it tells you that you can use that plus to create a new partition, minus to remove existing partition. If you have already some partitions created in this hard disk, you want to delete them, then select that partition and go with minus, the partition will be deleted. If you say plus, a new partition will be created. But this is a new virtual machine. There is no partitions done. You see total space is 25 GB and available space is all 25 GB. So it's a free disk without any partition. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the scheme of partition. You see here the scheme selected is LVM. Now we don't know really what is LVM. We have to first learn LVM. Then again we will see one more installation where I will select LVM and I'll show you how to do LVM based installation. So as of now, click on that box and change it to standard normal partitions, right? So I have changed it to standard partition. to avoid any further confusion. Standard partition is nothing but simple normal partition. That's it. Now I will click on plus to add new partition. When I click on plus, it will allow me to create partitions. Now guys, what name partitions you want to create? You cannot create partitions here with any name. There are recommended names that only you have to use. You can create / root, boot, home, var, swap, BIOS boot. All these partitions you can create for installation purpose. So I'm going to start with /, the most important partition in Unix and Linux environment. Now, how much size shall I give it? It's up to you. Whatever size you want, you can give it. But as my hard disk is 25 GB, I want to give it around 50 to 60% of available space. I want to give it at least 15 GB. See, the whole operating system will be installing inside it. So giving 15 GB would be a good idea. Now let me click on add. So in a moment, you will see that your root partition is created with 15 GB capacity. Now, out of 25 GB, 15 GB is used and 10 GB is left for you. Now, let me again click on plus because I need to create two more partitions. You remember, I told you you have to create root, you have to create boot, and you have to create swap compulsorily. So let me click on plus. As we have created root, you see root will be removed from the list to avoid confusion. You created root, root will be gone. You create boot, boot will be gone. So I'm selecting second partition as boot partition. Now, how much size would you like to give to boot partition? See, at least 1 GB if you give, that would be good. So I will click on 1 capital G. 1G means 1 GB. If you want to give in KB, you can use K. If you want to give in MBs, you have to use M. If you want to give it TBs, you have to use T. K for kilobyte, M for megabyte, T for terabyte. Like that you can use G for gigabyte. I would like to go with 1G, that is 1 GB. So you see boot partition is also created with 1 GB capacity. So two partitions are created, root and boot. It's time now to create swap partition. So I'm going to click on plus, and once you create plus, go with your next partition, that is swap. See guys, root is not there in the list anymore. Boot is not there in the list anymore. Let's go with swap. And how much swap size I told you guys? Double of the size of RAM. If your RAM is 1 GB, swap should be 2 GB. If your RAM is 2 GB, swap should be 4 GB, like that. So in my scenario, RAM is 2 GB. So I should give 4 GB for best results, better performance. Let me click on add. So you see, root, boot, swap. Three partitions have been created and still 5 GB is left for you. Now that 5 GB we are going to use in our coming classes to create more partitions after installation. After installation also you need to create partitions. So then we will use that 5 GB. Now I can click on done to confirm these partitions. Now when I click on done, it gives me a warning. The warning would be something like this, that if there are already existing partitions in this particular disk, it would be destroyed and new partition will be created. So guys, we don't have any previous partition and we haven't deleted any previous partition. So I agree this change. I'll say, okay, go ahead, destroy all the previous partitions and create new partitions. So we'll accept the change. The next thing after this we have to select is kdump. Kdump stands for kernel crash dump, which is very important, guys. For example, one day while we were working, one day we came to office, servers was running fine, everything was looking fine. Suddenly, one of the machine crashed and rebooted. Suddenly it happened. Suddenly a system got restarted or crashed or blue screen appeared and system got crashed, which definitely does not happen often in Linux, but sometimes suddenly if your OS crashes, how would you find the root cause that why your system crashed? How could you find that why my system crashed? Guys, to know the exact reason why the system crash, you can find it if you enable kernel crash dump. What happens is whenever your kernel crashes, it leaves the status that what happened to me, why I crashed, why I restarted the system. It stored that information in the form of dump. And where would be that dump? The dump will be kept in some location called var crash VM core, something like that. So you need to open that dump, you need to read it, you need to find it that why my system crashed. Basically, kdump will be available in binary format. So we need to use some external software to convert that binary information to human readable information. Or most of the time, what we do is if we have support from Red Hat, simply we will copy that dump and we will send it to Red Hat. So Red Hat will analyze the dump and tell you what happens. So if you want to keep that dumping enabled, make sure that here it is selected. If you don't want dumping, which is not really recommended, in few cases when you are dealing with clustered environment or you are trying to implement Hadoop clusters, so in that scenario, very rare it happens that they might ask us to disable kdump. So in that scenario, you can make sure that kdump is not enabled. But most of the cases, it is highly recommended to keep kdump enabled and it should be managed automatically by kernel. Don't disturb these settings. Let us click on done. Then the next thing what you have to select is networking, one of the major component of your operating system to work fine. See guys, we would like to work in a proper professional way. In your working environments, guys, you would be at some place, your data center will be at some place in different city, different country, maybe in a different cloud environment. So from our place, we would be connecting that OS over the network. So networking should be perfectly configured so that from my laptop, I can connect to that virtual machine. Now that virtual machine can be on any other place, any other location, any other data center, wherever it might be. To have that feeling, networking should be properly configured. Now, if you don't know anything about networking, please do not worry. Because in networking class, I'm going to teach you the basic fundamentals of networking. As of now, blindly follow me what I'm doing. If you don't know anything about networking, don't make any other changes apart from what I'm showing. So let me click on that networking option. First of all, it is asking you, would you like to give some name to your computer? By default, it is selecting localhost.local domain. You can continue with that name, or you can choose a different name, whatever you want, right? For example, I'm going to call it mlinux70. That's my choice. And this name we can change anytime we like, post installation also. So let me say apply these changes. So name is set. Second thing is you can select network adapter. What you see on the left side is your network adapter. On my virtual machine, I have only one adapter. You may have multiple adapter. Whichever adapter you want to use, just make sure it is selected and click on configure. When you click on configure, another box will appear. Now, in that box, many people, even after showing, will miss this point. So I'm stressing more on that. First of all, go to General. Where, guys? Go to General and select Connect automatically with priority. If you don't select this option, every time the system restart, your network adapter will be down. So you need to manually enable the adapter. I don't want to enable every time the system restart. So make sure connect automatically is already selected. Then go to IPv4 settings. Which settings? IPv4 settings. Over here, it is selected automatic. So what I'll do, I'll change that automatic option and I'm going to select something called manual. Please do all these steps the way I'm doing. Do not change anything apart from that. Otherwise, your networking will be down and you may face issues. So let me click on manual type. So what we did, first of all, in general, we have selected connect automatically. Then we clicked on IPv4 settings and we selected manual option. Now, after selecting manual option, click on add and it asks you to type something called IP address. See, IP address is like identity to your machine. It's like mobile phone number. If you want to call someone, you should have a valid mobile phone number of the other side. So with this number, your machine will be connectable over the network. Now, what is that number? How we got that number? All that thing we will understand in networking class. As of now, I want you to follow same steps without any question. So let me type some number. Please use similar number to avoid confusion. Same number. So I'll say 192.168.10.70. Now this is the number I'm trying to set for my virtual machine. Every time I want to connect to this machine, this is the number I'm going to use, 192.168.10.70. Now press tab, and as soon as you press tab, automatically it will take some number 24. Please leave that number 24. Don't change it anything. What is that 24? What is that net mask? All that we will learn in networking class. As of now, I would request you to just keep it as it is and click on Save Settings. When you click on Save Settings, the changes are done. Now you can activate your adapter. So after your configuration is completed, click on that off and your adapter will be activated and your machine will be reachable through 192.168.10.70. Now guys, I have assigned that number, but I don't know that number is responding or not, that number is reachable or not. So what I want to do is, from my laptop, I want to test whether that number is reachable or not. So I'm going to click on right control key to bring my cursor out of virtual machine. Now I am out of virtual machine. See, I will click on Windows and R button. When you click on Windows and R button, you can type something inside it. So maybe I'll type CMD to get command line. When I type CMD, command line prompt will be open. Now you can say ping hyphen T. T is for continuous. See guys, there is a command called ping that allows you to test the network connectivity. From my machine, am I reachable to some other machine or not? So I'll say, what is the number we have set? 192.168.10.70. So that number should respond. It's like from my mobile phone, I'm calling to someone else's mobile phone. Now I want the other guy to respond me. Now when I hit enter, you see it should respond. But over here, you see it says pinging, but there is no result. It is telling request timeout. You will definitely get this error because still there are few more settings that we need to do in our VirtualBox console. The main virtualization software, we need to do some changes. I did not did it earlier because I want you to do it now when you have given an IP address. So go back to your virtualization software main console. This is the main console of your VirtualBox. Two changes we need to do here. Change number one, click on File, and there is an option Host Network Manager. One more time, click on File, go to Host Network Manager. Now over here, you see there is an option Virtual Box, host only Ethernet adapter. But at the bottom, you can see it is selected as configure adapter automatically. So we need to change this option to something called configure adapter manually. If it is selected automatic, change it to configure adapter manually. And over here, you need to type some number. What is that number? It would be similar to that number what we have given for virtual machine, but not same. I am repeating, guys, the number I'm typing over here will be similar to the IP what we have given to virtual machine, but not same. If you give same number here also, same number to virtual machine also, then definitely there will be a conflict and network will be down. So the number I'll be typing here is 192.168.10.2. See, for our virtual machine, we have given 10.70. Here I am giving 10.2. So this will become something your laptop IP, and that number is your virtual machine IP. So both should be in same series, but last number should be different. So here I am giving 2, on that machine I have given 70. So from my laptop I would be able to connect to that virtual machine. And the IPv4 network mask, it is asking you keep it 255.255.255.0. We'll understand all these jargons, guys, when we go for networking class. So as of now, change the IP here to 192.168.10.2 and the net mask to 255.255.255.0, and click on apply settings. Once you click on apply settings, a box will appear which will ask you question yes or no. So say yes. Close this box. So guys, you went into host network manager, you selected configure adapter manually, you have given IP, you have given subnet mask and clicked on apply. First change. Second change, go to virtual machine settings. Right click on that virtual machine, go to settings. In the settings, you will find there is an option called network. Click on that option. And here you see it is having something called NAT as your adapter type. Please change that NAT to something called host only adapter. So let me click on this and I change it to host only. So come to network, change it to host only adapter and say OK. Now guys, once this change is done, now you can wait for around 30 to 40 seconds and you can see that your virtual machine is responding. Did you see reply from something is appearing? So if you see reply, that means my machine is successfully able to communicate to that virtual machine. This is the most important part. If you are not able to set networking properly, then next all our labs what we are going to do will be affected. So make sure you strictly follow the way I have done and not miss anything. The best way is when you are doing practical, keep that video aside. Watch a portion of video, do the practical. Then again watch next portion, do the practical. And don't make any other change apart from what I have shown you. So now networking is done. It is set up. Perfect. Let me click on done. Now, one more option it is showing you over here. that is security policy, I would request and recommend not to go inside that security policy. It is under test and trials. They are trying to bring up some security policies and all. If you select unnecessary or wrong policy, your installation will be wasted and you may not be able to log in properly. All that issues are coming. So let us not do any automatic policies. Whatever policies we want, we will select it on our own. Now you see there is one more option here, that is root password. Now who is that root password? See, root password is nothing but root user password. I told you yesterday that the topmost user in Linux is root user, admin user, super user. Without setting the password for root password, you cannot begin your installation. So you need to set root password to start your installation. Let me click on root password. Now, whatever password you want, you can give it here. Strong password is better. But guys, as this is a test environment, I want you to give a simple password that you can remember. The most common password what I use always in this installations is Red Hat, REDHAT. It's a simple password. It says that you have given a weak password. Doesn't matter. I'm okay with that weak password. To confirm the weak password to continue, click 2 times on done. Simple password will not be accepted at one time. So you need to click 2 times on done. First time it says simple password. Second time again when you click on done, it will accept the password. Now guys, root user will be by default created automatically during installation. Would you like to add one more normal user apart from root user? This is choice. If you want to add one more normal user with your name or something, then go to user creation and give the name and password what name you want for this user. I'm trying to create a user with the name called my user. You can give your names if you want to create a user with your name. Then I will click on password, and suppose I'll give a very small password, red. One more time, I will give red. So you see it is too short and weak password. Doesn't matter. I'm continuing with the same password. So after installation, you will find that my user is automatically created. Click 2 times on done to confirm this change. Let me click on done for one time and one more time done for second time. So when you click on done twice, it is completed. So guys, all the changes we want is selected. Now you can click on begin installation to start and finish your installation. So all the changes, all the things are selected. I'm okay with everything. Let me click on begin installation. Now, when you click on begin installation, from here, it is going to take around 20 to 25 minutes to complete your installation. And once your installation is completed, it will show you to reboot your system. Now, guys, instead of waiting, I can show you what would be the post installation setup very quickly in manual. 1 second. Just 2 minutes more, guys, and I will finish off the class. See, all the steps, whatever we have done is available in your manual, screenshots page by page. So this manual is more than enough for doing all your lab practices. So what will happen once your installation is completed? If your installation is complete, then it would ask you to reboot your machine. This is the way it is going to show you screen. It would congratulate you that OS installation is finished. Now you can click on reboot to reboot your machine. When you reboot the machine for the first time, your system will boot and it will ask you two more things. For the first time when you boot your system, it would ask you to accept the license. Guys, when you install a small piece of software, even that software will ask you to accept the license. So click on license information and click on I agree, and finally click on done. And if you have a registered user ID to register this machine, or you have a license key, then click on subscription manager, give the details, your machine will get registered to Red Hat network. And finally, you will be done. You can log in and you can work with your operating system. So this is it, guys, for your installation purpose, right? This is the way you have to perform Red Hat customized installation with your choice details, whatever you want to perform. Now, as I told you, installation is same whether you are doing it on a virtual machine or you are doing it on a physical machine. Wherever you want, all the steps are same, right? So that's it, guys, for today's session. Uh, 1 minute.